While Frederick Kreiburg makes an appearance in Ashes of Memory, fans of the character may feel a bit disappointed by how little screen time he gets. Still, his presence is no less important than many other figures in the game's narrative. Frederick Kreiburg is one of the many survivors in Identity V, known for his role as the composer. His confirmed appearance takes place in Ashes of Memory, marking him as one of the last known participants of the Manor game. With the continuation of Ashes of Memory in the making, I think this is the perfect time to explore this handsome-looking decoder. Today, we'll be delving into Frederick's journey, from his early life to his eventual arrival at the Manor, and what drove him to join the game.
Stay silent when you hear this sound. The static particles begin to vibrate with the sound waves, indicating they have acquired energy. It may be a tiny amount, yet it's enough to straighten out my thoughts. But the energy can also be huge. As the setting sun shone upon the final rest, I saw a musical note glimmering in gold and dancing in the air, just as they expected. The movement spread my life energy and pushed me up a pedestal until I could smell the aroma of talent in the air. The aroma was me, but it slowly faded with time. Once it faded, it cast me into the abyss, where the light from my eyes extinguished. The light shines through my fingers and onto the white keys as I continue writing, hoping the melody points me in a direction. In the reflection, I see what should have happened. He glows golden, just like they first expected. Stay silent when you hear this sound. The static particles begin to vibrate with the sound waves, indicating they have acquired energy. It may be a tiny amount. Great energy forces a change in the tide and pushes the world to absurdity. Do you believe?
Frederick Kreiburg is a composer character introduced in 2022 as part of the Ashes of Memory storyline. Born on May 21st, he was 26 years old during the events of the story, which places his birth year in 1876. His mother is named Amalia, while his father's name remains unknown, and he is simply referred to as Lord Kreiburg. Like many characters in Identity V, Frederick appears to be inspired by a real historical figure. Many fans believe he is heavily based on Frederick Chopin, the renowned Polish composer and virtuoso pianist of the Romantic era, known for his solo piano compositions. The connection is evident in their similar names and shared mastery of the piano. Others suggest that Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart may have also influenced Frederick's character. This theory arises from the fact that both Mozart and Frederick hail from Vienna and were introduced to music at an early age by their fathers. In Frederick's case, he was trained by his father, Lord Kreiburg, following the family's strict musical legacy. The Kreiburgs are a noble upper-class family from Vienna, Austria, which is known as a city of contemporary music, both historically and in the games. It's believed that the family is blessed by Euterpe, the Greek muse of music and lyrical poetry. Because of this divine association, the Kreiburgs are thought to possess a natural talent for music. Family members are expected to pursue careers in music-related fields, such as composing, conducting, or mastering various instruments. Over time, their name became widely recognized in the musical world, with Kreiburg becoming almost synonymous with musical excellence. However, with this prestigious reputation comes immense pressure. The family holds strict and unforgiving standards, and anyone who fails to meet them risks being shunned or completely cut off, both socially and financially. Frederick was one such unfortunate case, cast aside by his own family. It is widely believed that Frederick was originally born as a twin, but the other child died shortly after birth. This theory is supported by subtle clues found in his first letter and deduction quest. From the moment Frederick was born, Lord Kreiburg refused to hold him. This deeply upset his mother, Amalia, but her perspective changed when she noticed a red mark on Frederick's body, something she described as being licked by the tongue of hellfire. From that moment, she began to understand her husband's rejection. Coupled with the loss of one twin and the emotional weight of postpartum depression, Amalia fell into a deep sadness. Only a month after Frederick's birth, another blow struck. Lord Kreiburg refused to baptize his own son. Though no reason was explicitly given, it was likely tied to the same mysterious red mark. Amalia considered fleeing back to her family in Paris with Frederick, but they persuaded her to stay. Lord Kreiburg's hostility toward Frederick is evident, though the exact reason for his hatred remains unclear. The red mark appears to be the only tangible clue. Some fans speculate that Frederick may have a genetic condition called chimerism, which can result from the absorption of a twin in the womb. Individuals with this condition possess two or more distinct sets of DNA, effectively containing cells from different genetic origins. As to why Lord Kreiburg was repulsed by the mark, or by chimerism in general, is still unknown. One theory is that Frederick may be the only Kreiburg ever born with such a condition, making him an outlier in a family obsessed with perfection. But as of now, these remain fan theories rather than confirmed facts. In his childhood, Frederick was also diagnosed with a psychological condition that caused hyperactivity and hallucinations, known medically as psychasthenia. This disorder is characterized by phobias, obsessive thoughts, compulsive behavior, and intense anxiety. Fortunately, neither his suspected chimerism nor his psychasthenia were life-threatening, allowing him to live relatively normally. Frederick's connection with music began when he attended one of his father's concerts for the first time. He found that music soothed his symptoms, prompting a deep fascination that turned into obsession. He began practicing obsessively, believing that he inherited the Kreiburgs' legendary musical talent. To a degree, this belief proved true. After seeing Frederick's growing dedication and skill, Lord Kreiburg temporarily accepted him as a legitimate heir to the family legacy. Frederick grew up in nobility, receiving a privileged education and an aristocratic lifestyle. His design notes even suggest he had genuine talent as a composer. However, despite his passion and ability, it eventually became clear that Frederick could not live up to the Kreiburg family's lofty expectations. While he was gifted, he simply developed at his own pace, something the rigid and demanding Kreiburgs could not accept. As a result, Frederick was seen as mediocre within the family, especially when compared to its many musical prodigies. I'm not entirely sure how the community at large views Frederick's musical talent. Personally, I believe he's genuinely gifted. But in the eyes of the Kreiburgs, and perhaps outsiders, his inability to match their high standards made him seem like a disappointment. Eventually, Lord Kreiburg's acceptance turned back into disdain. Seeing Frederick as a disgrace, the family banished him to Paris, giving him a one-way ticket from Vienna. Though he had once been accepted, he was ultimately cast out, rejected by the very legacy he had tried so hard to honor. After becoming accustomed to aristocratic lifestyle, Frederick eventually found work performing for the upper class in Paris. However, he didn't rely heavily on his music to captivate audiences. Instead, it was his charming personality, refined manners, and natural charisma that won people over. His social charm, rather than his musical talent, became the main reason he was admired by Parisian high society. Despite his outward success, Frederick despised this lifestyle. He only maintained it to uphold his aristocratic status. What truly mattered to him was being accepted back into the Kreiburg family. To that end, he wrote countless letters to his father, each one filled with original music sheets, hoping Lord Kreiburg would recognize his effort and passion. But his hopes were dashed. Lord Kreiburg only opened the first letter and ignored all the others. Frederick's life in Paris became stagnant. He continued to perform for the elite, relying more on his looks and charm than his music, all while struggling with the pain of rejection from his father. It was during this period that he received a mysterious letter from an unknown sender, inviting him to a private meeting. While the identity of the sender has never been confirmed in the official lore, many fans speculate that it was Mary Kreiburg, another member of the Kreiburg family, known in the game as the Bloody Queen. It's implied that Frederick and Mary knew each other well. He even demonstrates knowledge of her personal preferences during a conversation with Orpheus in the manor, a detail we'll explore later. According to the official character relationship chart, Frederick is described as a distant relative of Mary, though the exact nature of their connection remains unclear. It's widely believed that this mysterious meeting eventually led to Frederick's involvement in the manor game, featured in Ashes of Memory. Now, the big question many fans have is, why did Frederick join the manor game in the first place? Was he seeking inspiration for a masterpiece that might finally earn his father's approval? Was it for wealth? Or anything else? Well, as it turns out, Frederick entered the manor in search of a particular gemstone known as the Blue Diamond. This wasn't just any jewel. The Blue Diamond once belonged to Mary Kreiburg, intended as her dowry for a marriage to a nobleman named Manus de Capet. After Mary's untimely death, the Kreiburg family demanded the gem's return. Despite repeated attempts to contact Manus, they were met with silence. Eventually, Frederick took it upon himself to retrieve the diamond, believing that recovering it would be his key to regaining the Kreiburg family's acceptance. He set out to find it at the Kreiburg racecourse, where it was last believed to be kept. As for Frederick's experience in the manor game, Ashes of Memory, we'll explore that in a future segment. So far, we've covered the stories of Melly, Norton, and now Frederick. Next, we'll dive into the complex narratives of Alice de Ross and Orpheus, two characters whose backstories are particularly rich and layered, so those might take a bit more time. If you have any questions or want to add your own theories, feel free to share them in the comments. Thank you for watching. This is Silmina, signing off.